Brian Suh is the resident of 18044, and he is engaged in terrorism, monitoring on my phone. He's going to federal prison. I believe he's about 80 some odd years old. It is no preclusion to engaging in demonic activity and state surveillance. The light source is directly over my head as I'm standing at the same position I was standing at 10:42 in the morning yesterday, May 21st, 2024, excuse me. And you saw the demon possession as it was exhibited by a police department stalking, group stalking, in concert with the people in the workplace. As I am still at that same location, and it is currently where you're looking at the light source directly over my head. This is 2:41 in the afternoon. I'm again 10:42 in the morning, 11:12, 1. That's 4 hours, and that's just, again, I've got sunrise to sunset. I'm just letting you know right here that in and of itself is the P.O.C. The entity is group stalking, calling my phone. This is a third-party group stalker that is residing now at a crime scene. Brian Suh, who is also documented engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet. This is surveillance that Brian Suh is engaged in, and he's literally engaged in what is calling my office with simultaneity to what the entity is monitoring, and I will show you that right now. I am getting up, as I have spoken to many times, and the entity is, Brian Suh, he's going to federal prison. The entity is engaging in what is the audible activity creation with simultaneity to their knowledge about what I'm preparing
using
to
those
show you
emergency
on video.
vehicles to engage in that criminal system.
It is this 7:51 a.m., but I have something that I captured in May. This is March 22nd, 2022 is still daylight savings time, but I have something that I captured literally within the same week. It's May 22nd, 2024. I'm documenting what I captured on May 22nd, 2022. At no point is the sun going to be over Maria Solis Alvarez as she's group stalking me at Alvarado Gardens when I'm standing in front of my office door, creating what is that light activity while that demon is crossing path, monitoring in contact with Brian Suh, who lives at the crime scene, and monitoring with the people of the state who you see coming onto the grounds while the light source appears directly over my head as I walk to my apartment at Silverview Townhomes. Those are demons climbing a ladder, group stalking with noise, with my every move tracking my steps. And that light source is directly over the front of my apartment. This is as I'm walking down at during the 2 o'clock hour. So this is giving you reference with regard to the pictures that I took. On March 22nd, 2022, I am on public transportation. This is Route 83. The same Route 83 that I'm on at 7:44 in the morning, and the light source is over the roof of the Upland Public Library as the bus drives past the Upland Public Library. Okay. This is that same bus route. I'm on this bus route at 12:34 in the afternoon, and the light source is in the same position that is directly over my head on Route 83, which is the identical route all day long, over and over again, and it's driving in the direction north on the same street in the city of Ontario. Even more specific than that, it's at the location as I'm on this bus at 12:34 in the afternoon where I wake up in the morning, and the entity engages in what is rising the sun. An engineer light is reaching underneath the covered structure that covers the side of the museum where I would sleep. And this is documentation of what is showing you what has nothing to do with your socioeconomic status and the ongoing criminal purpose of group stalking. When the entity is engaged in what is targeting you to the degree that directly affects your ability to financially take care of yourself, that is harassing me as I'm an attorney, and then my loss of employment because of the systematic violence that I'm subject to in the workplace, and then that follows me, and then reporting it being unlawfully released from employment. And then going into property management and suffering that same harassment. And then that's a pattern. Practicing law and property management are two separate industries, and I'm also engaged in these two separate industries in two different regions. Practicing law in Los Angeles, reverting to what is property management in San Bernardino and Riverside County, and the entity is harassing me, a very exceedingly violent harassment that I'm subject to in the workplace, and the entity is engaged in ongoing systematic harassment, and this is what forces me out of the work field altogether, and that is going to have a direct impact on you economically. So like I said, my sleeping at the museum has nothing to do with the inability to be a competent employee, as I'm demonstrating. I'm showing you exactly what this is. This is even worse. The entity is group stalking. They added the helicopters. They added the group stalking by law enforcement using their sirens and all that. The entity, and again, why is that? The more that you document, the more that you're aware, the more aggressive that the entity gets. And so they added in the helicopters, and that's great because the world needs to understand what group stalking looks like and who is engaged in group stalking, and it is the government. Okay, so the entity was group stalking by police, by the way, when I was practicing law. So it's under the guise of all of my cases as I was meet with my clients before we would go into the court before a hearing, and the police were always in the hallways of the courts, group stalking in the courts. Okay, meeting with the DAs. All right, this is the guise under which the police were group stalking in the courthouses, and so they were appearing under the guise of, being part of whatever cases that other attorneys had. The whole courthouse is a group stalker. They're monitoring me. This is while I was practicing law, and the entity did engage in what is harassment. That is pulling me over, light source over my head. Federal stalking on the video of the internet using communication devices. You know exactly who I am, and then you're pulling me over. Even you don't even have any facts while you're engaging in what is harassment, just to pull me over as an obsessed, demon-possessed group stalker that likes to use helicopters. That demon pulling you over, talking about, can I see your driver's license? And what is the point in doing that? And you know exactly who I am, and you're stalking. You don't have any jurisdiction. Not only that, I didn't even do anything wrong. And where the entity is stating that you don't have your seatbelt on when actually you do. But a block before, I actually did not have my seatbelt on, but I put it on. Now, that's what caught my attention about the demon-possessed agency, the LAPD, and that's why I started documenting the government, because I knew then that's not a coincidence. I had already had a pattern of a series of incidents where police are always present. And like I said, you have a gut instinct that you're being pursued. But then again, I'm not a criminal. I'm not doing anything wrong. So why would they be stalking you? Why would they be following, But nonetheless, you recognize the pattern and then you start documenting it. And I can empathize with the ordinary target individual, and it is designed to torment you. It's designed to make you question your sanity. You don't have any evidence. You have what is harassment. They're intentionally harassing you and attacking your mind state while they are targeting you for that purpose, hoping that you off yourself. Okay, so like I said, the entity is engaging in the P.O.C. This is speaking to while I was homeless. That's why I went into that a little bit. But the entity is group stalking me while I am sleeping outside. And that is, again, the state is going to be liable for that. This is years and years of damages, okay? Prolonged, delayed justice. And that's going to be paid for, not only monetarily, okay? For so long as I have endured this and had to document and remain subject to it, that's going to be directly relevant to how long Maria Solis Alvarez is going to sit in federal prison. That's how that's going to go. And that's a matter of justice. So I want to point out where I'm at. I'm on Route 83, and the light source is over me at 12:34 in the afternoon. You see the light source that's directly over me here in the workplace outside of the same. I'm over here at 10:42 in the morning yesterday, right there. I was standing here at the same position at 1 o'clock while Maria Solis Alvarez walks right here. Light source is right over my head, and this is where it's at. Let me move this so you can see it. This is the light source. And you also saw the impossible light activity that's still present. That has nothing to do with sunlight. And then you've got somebody engaged in surveillance in the workplace. That's called impunity, federal prison, on its face. There's no sun that's going to reach into an office, creating that light on the ceiling, okay? That's speaking to P.O.C. And the entity is maintaining a light source here. Okay, so there's that. I just want to speak to there is no provision for the sun to ever be present over the Ontario Museum of History and Arts in the ways that I'm going to show you. Not only is it over my head as I wake up in the morning, that is a sunrise. And then you're looking at what is not even sunlight. It's the engineer light reaching, bending, doing gymnastics to reach underneath a covering. That's not sunlight. That's the engineered light. That's called stalking with light. And the entity is also present as I'm on the bus, as I show on May 22nd, 2022. As I am driven past that same location where I'm waking up in the morning and the sun is rising, that light source is remaining directly over me, going in the direction north, passing the same exact address at 12:34 in the afternoon. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, that's 5 hours, and that is non-movement in any direction, east or west. It's literally in the direction north, in whatever direction that I'm going, which is not the sun. Okay, so that's the significance of what Brian Suh is doing. He's calling while the entity is literally reviewing everything that I'm reviewing on my phone. Literally, as I open this video, ring, calling on the phone. Okay. Also, as I'm reviewing documentation, this demon Maria Solis Alvarez maintaining positioning, willing to walk in, ready to engage in what is monitoring. Oh, can you make a copy? Oh, which is both audible activity creation, monitoring, coming in to monitor, but also aware. And again, not scared enough. The entity shall be stricken with so much fear that the rest of this country will think twice before they engage in this criminal activity against an American citizen. But like I said, as it is right now, the entity is not fearful enough. Still stalking in helicopters. Still engaged in criminal surveillance. This light source, it's not even the sun. Okay? It's not even the natural environment. So the entity is still acting with impunity. And all the people of the state, the entire entity is going to suffer for that. So if you have to sit in federal prison for years, so be it. That's justice, period. I'm going to be clear. The entity's been monitoring me for years. That's not too tall of an order. Okay, so let me show you the light source that's over me at this same Ontario Museum of History and Arts as I wake up in the morning, which I documented on May 24th, 2022. That's 2 days from tomorrow. So with regard to 2024 was what we're in. So this is same time of year analysis. And remember what I showed you yesterday. I showed you video of May 15th, 2024, 2022. The light source is at this same museum and the entity is stalking, flying over my head in helicopter as I'm at this same museum at 5:45 in the evening. That's the video that I reminded you about yesterday, captured on May 15th, 2022. It has nothing to do with the sun. This is indeed stalking. It's group stalking in a specific environment that's centered around me. I'm the center of the universe where the demon possessed entity is group stalking you. That's the position, and that's terrorism because that's the case. That's terrorism. So Ontario Museum of History and Arts, 225 South Euclid Avenue, where I wake up in the morning. This is the light source over me. Okay, this is engineered light. Sunlight does not create what is, again, it's appearing underneath, bending underneath a covered structure. That's impossible light activity. And you're also looking at the position that it's diagonally reaching under. This is the roof up here, and it's appearing beneath that's entirely impossible. This is going to be all shade. This is engineered light. This is called stalking with light.
This is the shadow of those right there. That is engineered light. This is directed light. Okay, think about the Upland Public Library, and you're seeing the shadow of the staircase on the floor and the shape of the windows. This is engineered light. The light taking on the shape of the objects that it's hitting. And this is directed light. This is the column, the shadow of the column diagonally behind. This is engineered light, as though this has been the presence of the sun, and that is sunlight. This is engineered light, and this is also the fake sun. All right, and this is 7:51 in the morning, where I wake up in the morning. That's where the sun rises. This is not the natural environment on its face. This is the pattern of stalking me with a whole environment. That's why at 12:34 in the afternoon, as I'm on the bus driving by this same museum, the light source is directly over my head as the bus is driving in the direction north in the middle of the afternoon. The sun, which is a gaseous ball of fire, and the general stating rising in the east and setting in the west, that does not mean rising on the east side of my person and wherever it is that I'm located on the west side of my person. And that's exactly what you see while I remain at one address in Los Angeles, rising on the east side of me, setting on the west side of me. That's impossible, and neither is that in perfect alignment with this museum in the evening, in perfect alignment with this museum in the morning. I'm letting you know how at every angle of analysis, you're looking at a specific environment. And you also know this because the entity has exhibited its demon possession and its group stalking with the directed light conduct by the people of the state. That moves all across buildings. That is the unmistakable existence and identification of a system. And there is no third party that has any work schedule or stating that, oh, well, I went to go pick up my kids at daycare. I wasn't at the apartment complex. Well, I was off of work on Wednesday and I wasn't monitoring. It's legally irrelevant, and that's also not true. It's criminal teamwork, and the entity is working on a ceaseless basis as a group, ceaseless presence with each other. It's cooperative, it's demonic, and the entity is engaged in ceaseless surveillance on the video of the internet as well. And you can literally be outside of the state of California, keeping me under surveillance via communication devices, which is what, again, Royal Wilcox has been documented engaging in this. Okay, this is what the entity is doing. Royal Wilcox is, again, a third party in Las Vegas, Nevada, a part of the same exact entity, crossing state lines and group stalking in relevant position. So, like I said, this is a massive surveillance, and I'm showing you the light source where I wake up in the morning, and this is nowhere near my living room window. You saw the sunrise through my living room window yesterday at 7:12 in the morning. The sun is not rising to be present over this museum, specifically over my head on the side of the museum where I'm sleeping. That is a very peculiar and specific placement of that light source, in the same way it is through my living room window. And then the entity that is monitoring documentation, covering up the light source for the first half of the day, and you're seeing it at the exact same impossible placement directly over my head until the end of the day. The exact same stalking by helicopters, and the people of the state exhibiting their demon possession as well are engaged in the exact same system. That's revealing what is malice. And it is malice that's exhibited by the entity, as I have documented the specific environment for a term of years. Okay, and this is the light
activity.
source.
That's what the Bright View is engaging in. They're monitoring me.
Okay, think about Jose and Sons. That's exactly what they're doing, audible activity. Think about the demons at Silverview Townhomes, hammering while I'm walking upstairs. That's what they're doing, stalking with noise. Think about the demons in the laundry room while I'm sitting in my office, stalking with noise, maintaining presence. This is what the entity is doing by universal way, stalking with noise. And it's also harassment while a demon-possessed entity engages in the maintenance of amplified noise on an ongoing basis while engineer light is always surrounding you. This is analogous to what you see Jose and Sons doing, though. And this is the P.O.C. while the light source is over you and engineer light.
They're stalking with light activity, flashing light, using that means of ongoing audible noise, a leaf blower, doing so in engineer light. This is how an entity is placed under surveillance. And also, as I've already documented, the entity is stalking by the Ontario police, who are stalking ceaselessly by helicopter. That is the entity acting vicariously. That is the
All right, this is May 24th, 2022. On May 24th, 2024, there is no sun that's rising through my living room window. And that is the light source. And this is revealing what is indeed demonic activity that's underway in the state of California. It is a matter of public corruption. And I have captured the remarkable pattern of conduct with regard to the P.O.C., the evidence of the pattern of conduct. The pattern of conduct that these demons are engaging in is not remarkable. It's not even intelligent. It's just highly malicious. It's very deeply depraved, and it's demonic. Okay, there's nothing remarkable about it. It's very illogical. It's asinine. It's idiotic. It's just wicked. Okay, I am on public transportation on this day at 12:34 p.m. I am nowhere near Los Angeles. There would never be any sun over this property, as I've already stated, for at any time of day, let alone from the beginning to the end of the day, for the from half of the day to the rest of the end of the day, none at no time of day ever. This is the specific environment at all times. And so this is what I'm capturing on May 22nd, 2024. Going past the same Ontario Museum.
There is the big sun right here over me on Route 83 going northbound.
Ontario Civic Center Transfer
This is
Station.
the Ontario Museum of History and
Connecting to
Arts. This is the big sun
161,
over me as I'm coming from Chino,
83,
California,
and
going
87.
northbound. I'm on the passenger side of the bus. This is where I'm at in the
That is the same Ontario Museum of History and Arts that you are looking at, that I am present, that I am waking up in the morning and
monitoring. And then all of the people
over my head.
out of the column diagonally behind. This is engineered light, as though this has been the presence of the sun, and that is sunlight.
This is capturing for you to witness what is demonic activity, where demonic activity is occurring, what demonic activity looks like, and it seeks to appear as though it's natural, normal, just like you. Nothing to see here, folks. Okay, there's nothing normal about this behavior of this environment. And there's also nothing about the behavior of the people that surround in this environment. Everything that they are doing is centered on what I do, as I do it, where I do it. And this is taking that same template, okay? You can apply it to any company, any location, any person, whether you know them personally, whether you are blood related to them, whether you're dating them, married to them, just meeting them, in the grocery store, in line next to them. This environment is present in the environment because a whole population is monitoring you, and it's demonic activity. And it is, again, America's version of terrorism. In the state of California, while federal group stalking and monitoring, which includes stalking on the venue of the internet, federal stalking, using communication devices and on the venue of the internet, including interstate commerce. The entity is also engaging in what is group stalking by helicopters and trains and airplanes, which I submit is also relevant to interstate commerce. And also interstate commerce with regard to the people of the state that are crossing state lines and engaged in federal stalking in concert with the state. I submit that this is also relevant to prosecution under Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. And so nonetheless, this is the same
morning. The entity's fake sun over
location.
me, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. The sun would not be over the same venue, over the same location, over the same address.
And that's understanding what is stalking with light. in addition to that, I showed you just the other day what is 7:44 in the morning when I'm not at the museum waking up. I've gotten up at an earlier time. April 21st is still same time of year analysis. And the light source is running over. I'm on the same bus route that I'm on at 12:34 in the afternoon today in 2022. Okay. I'm on Route 83 on this morning. Okay. And again, even if it's a different time of year, say I'm capturing this in December, it's only 1 hour difference. There's no explanation. There is no reconciling this duration of time of a light source, which is not possibly the sun. I'm on Route 83 going in the direction north, and the light source is remaining in alignment to me. At 7:44 in the morning, I'm on Route 83 going the direction north at 12:34 in the afternoon on May 22nd, 2022. And the light source is remaining in alignment to me.
Excuse me. First United Methodist Church. The light source has been in alignment 7:44 a.m. I captured this
Going over
video
the Upland Public Library.
later hour. That's up in the Fred School District. That's up in the Public Library.
So what you're witnessing, first of all, is speaking to what I've stated. The entity engages in what is rising the light source in alignment to me, essentially being in alignment with my face. Throughout the duration of the day, it remains over the directly top of my head. And then it is setting in alignment to essentially my face. That is rising and setting with the light source wherever it is that I go. This is not the sun in this position at this time, moving in this manner to keep up with me while I'm on the same bus route. What is 12:34 in the afternoon, and it's at the very top of my head.
Would have already, you're talking about what is supposedly rising in the east, setting in the west, not going to be in the same venue, let alone you're talking about what is, how is it here, and then you're talking about what is one.
Okay, that's the pattern of conduct of stalking with an entire environment, and this is terrorism. And the entity is group stalking you while they maintain presence as a group. So as opposed to one demon having to pursue you, they can all maintain presence all around you while the environment conducive to group stalking you follows you around. And you are recognizing what everyone is doing. They're all stalking you, hence group stalking. And they're group stalking you in a very specific environment. And it is entirely unnatural. And this is vividly revealed in documentation. And that is the purpose of the P.O.C. I want to be clear, at this same location at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, this is what I was reminding you about yesterday evening, where the entity engages in a sunset through my bedroom window here in Los Angeles. This same Ontario Museum of History and Arts is where the entity is group stalking me in a helicopter, and the light source is still present over this Ontario Museum of History and Arts. So we've got 7:50, 12:34 in the afternoon, and then we have 5:45 in the evening.
Capturing these Spanish-speaking minions right here, group stalk.
Wrong one. That's the Fontana Police Department, who are also going to be subject to federal prison and federal prosecution. This is the museum.
This is P.O.C. And in the same position that I'm capturing in the morning.
They flew right over my
Unity
head.
gets entirely frustrated as I document that damning evidence. I want to be clear, this is the criminal system that this demon, Moss, was engaging in today at 10:19 in the morning, while he's engaging in, what is that, that nonchalant attitude while he's terrorizing somebody else. That's directly relevant while he's engaging in this terrorizing conduct. Wearing a police uniform, engaging in this very criminal conduct. This is P.O.C. All of the...
And by this criminal conduct, I mean Moss is a demon-possessed state actor, group stalking, and he's going to federal prison for that on its face. Group stalking, which is state terrorism committed by an officer, a law enforcement officer, you're going straight to federal prison for that. The entity, and that's what I'm referencing. I'm referencing the fact that he's not necessarily flying a helicopter. He's group stalking. This is group stalking in a helicopter. And that's what I'm speaking to. He's doing this. I'm referencing the fact that he's doing exactly what this agency is engaging in, group stalking in a helicopter. Moss was documented group stalking me in the position of being a law enforcement officer.
Represented by that demon wearing that Ontario police uniform. While the people of the state, again, capture still images, they're group stalking with children in tow, engaging in terrorism.
This is the same Ontario Museum of History and Arts. I'm on the back side of the same property.
Images, so let me show you in video. They are group stalking. The helicopter, the fake sun, the directed light, you are group stalking. Show you in video. They are group stalking. The helicopter, the fake sun.
That's the P.O.C. Okay, there is no time of year and no time of day that the sun would ever be captured in any position. This is not going to be visible through my bedroom window in my apartment in Los Angeles. This is clearly a pattern of stalking with light in an unheard of and unfathomable manner. This is the evidence of exactly what it is I'm telling you is the condition of those that are group stalking. These are the demon possessed, and they are maliciously keeping under surveillance an American citizen for the purpose of psychologically tormenting that individual, and they're doing so in the shoes of the government, because the government is group stalking. And that's why you see the corrupt courthouses, the corrupt sheriff's departments, and the corrupt police departments who are representing the state that is group stalking. As I have termed it, they're group stalking directly. It's state action. I'm documenting the fact that this environment is remaining around you, wherever it is that you live, wherever it is that you go, and the people of the state are maintaining vicarious presence on behalf of that state. It is indeed state action, while the people of the state are living all around you and remaining all around you, creating activity. And it is a massive sex offense. All right. It's also terrorism. All right. And this is done with the criminal purpose of keeping one under surveillance, including on the venue of the internet. And you're witnessing, revealing, when I'm showing you the malice of the system, then you take a second look at the behavior of the people of the state who want you to think something about the target individual. They want you to think something about them, which is entirely false. These are psychopaths, and that is literally the mental illness of one that is engaging in this level of malice against an innocent individual, innocent as far as they're concerned. There is no legitimate purpose for the government or for any person to group stalk you and to falsely depict you. And that's what the purpose of group stalking is. They want to make that target individual appear as though they're suffering from some mental incapacity. And this is the criminal purpose of group stalking. If you don't end up, and I hated to put it in those terms, but taking your own life, I don't mean to put it lightly when I said offing yourself, but I'm speaking in such graphic terms, not because I'm insensitive, not because I'm not aware of the reality that people have actually done such things to themselves, which, that is unfortunate. But I'm speaking in such terms because you need to understand the sex offender that is monitoring while the panties are down. You need to picture that sexual violence in your mind. You do need to be aware of that, because that's exactly what they're doing. And that's exceedingly violent sexually offending conduct. That's sexually perverted. That's predatory. Sex offenders do that. They don't want you to know that they're sex offenders. The government doesn't. And while they're engaging in entertaining criminal cases about sex offenders, criminals, this hypocrisy is underway, and it's supposedly a secret. And federal group stalking and monitoring is an exceedingly violent sex offense. Not only based on the literal criminal conduct and the ways in which, and while the real-time knowledge, while criminal monitoring surveillance is 24/7. It's the fact that it's the numerosity, the whole entity, the whole population is invading your privacy altogether, knowledgeable about the moment you pull your panties down, what you're doing as you're doing it. Any third party that you are unaware of, obviously, because you are not going to consent to you're not going to reasonably consent, nor can you legally consent, but that's not how the conversation goes. And that's not the target individual that's subject to the P.O.C. The ordinary target individual is not someone that enjoys being on tape during any sexual encounter with someone that they do not know is a third party group stalker, let alone demon possessed. That's not what's known. That's not the conversation. You are not consenting to that. And that is a massive, perverted, very highly demented sex offense committed by a government together. Okay. They sit back and they revel in that. They study that together. Okay, and this is a secret system. This is the light source that's at the same address, 225 South Euclid Avenue, the same address where I am passing by this location in the afternoon at 12:34, this is never the natural environment, never. It's literally impossible, and that I'm capturing the impossible in order to witness it, because again, coming out of the mouth of the ordinary target individual, absent any evidence, unfortunately, but I can understand, I can sympathize. Not a demon-possessed group stalker that's engaging in it, but someone that is genuinely ignorant with regard to how a government is group stalking you. What does that mean? How do you prove it? What does it look like? This is what the P.O.C. provides. Okay, it is intended to falsely depict and result in the false depiction of that target individual, and that's by design. That is by design. Okay, so again, this is the light source that is over the same bus route. That's the stalking of audible activity in the office. As I'm at passing by the same museum.
Ontario Civic Center Transfer
This is
Station.
the Ontario Museum of History and Art.
Right, and I'm at that museum at 5:45. The entity's flying over my head by helicopter. I'm at that museum, waking up in the morning at 7:50. I'm at I'm nowhere near this museum on this same bus route, by the way, at 7:44, and the light source is doing the same exact thing, remaining in perfect alignment with me at 7:44. Moving over, by the way, the thoroughly documented Upland Public Library. It's not over the Ontario Museum, and it is nowhere near, nor is it at any time, based on that timeline of one venue outside, which would be over my head in Los Angeles, where the entity is group stalking by helicopter. And this is a occurring in the workplace. Okay, this is surveillance while the phone is a means of ongoing audible activity while an entity is engaged in federal stalking. And this is indeed criminal surveillance that a third-party employee engaged in what is criminal surveillance on behalf of the state. This is how the state is group stalking you in the workplace. That's what that represents, and it's entirely unlawful. It's impunity. All right, it is currently, again, 3:16 p.m. The entity is not only engaging in this, I want you to recall what the entity was doing, as I stated, intentionally communicating a threat while she is aware of the fact that I'm documenting her. This is before I left to lunch. And the covered up light source is suddenly unveiled, and it's unveiled directly over my head. And this is, again, the group stalking behavior. And this, let's recall the time together, it's 1:02. But on this day in 2022, the light source is remaining over me while I am traveling on Route 83, okay? And going in the position north, okay? There's no provision for the sun to be over Alvarado Gardens, literally directly over the top of my head.
Coming from Chino, California.
Okay, that's the position of the light source, not the sun. That's not possibly. You see the light source over me at 1:00 here in Los Angeles, but that's not possibly the sun. And this is an intentional act with the intent to threaten and intimidate, with knowledge of the fact that what's being documented about her and the entirety of that entity. There is no sun that's going to be over me at Alvarado Gardens, the same position where I'm at, by the way, early in the morning, where the entity is group stalking with the sunrise. That's not possibly the sun. And engineered light, that's not even sunlight. The entity is maintaining the specific environment for the duration of the day. While you are looking at it again, piercing through, on the door, this is engineered light that's appearing in the distance. This is my shadow that's appearing upright on the wall at a distance. This is impossible light activity. You can see my hand. And then you have what is openly engaging in surveillance in the workplace. And these are the demon possessed that are highly delusional. Engaging in what is, again, group stalking for so long, doing so in concert with a corrupt government that just snatches people up and kidnaps them and defames them. They're used to engaging in this criminal system. And this is why you act. This is part of the reason why, because you're so drunk with your false sense of power. It's not, these are delusional psychopaths, and a dose of reality is what the P.O.C. also provides. And it's also that federal prosecution, which is a necessary dose of reality, because there's nothing intelligent about this criminal system. And in addition to that, you are in no position to in any way be exempt from the justice that the law provides, existing law and laws that shall be created in order to deal with this highly malicious government system. Okay, this is the engineered light that's reaching underneath a doorway. Okay, this is analogous to what you see reaching underneath the structure of the museum. Sunlight does not reach through gymnastics underneath a covering, underneath the doorway. That's called directed light. And this is what I'm showing you is the case. While I am inside, that's a covering. That light is bending underneath the covering and then bending underneath into the doorway to arrive on the floor, reaching inside. Okay, that's called directed light. That's demonic, and it's also the evidence, the presence of a threat. Okay, so I want to make sure I document on video the entity that's engaged in surveillance, not only Brian Suh, but also, let's see, the entity is group stalking. The phone number is 1213-284-0434. This is P.O.C.
I'm sorry, the person you are trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Please try your call again.
Alrighty, this is nothing other than audible activity creation using the phone, also with real-time knowledge of what it is that I'm documenting about the entity's criminal system. And what you're going to remember is that the entity is maintaining a light source well until after 7 p.m. And there is no sun that's over the same property and not coincidentally setting in alignment to me. The entity is engaged in. The entity is maintaining a specific environment, keeping me under surveillance both in the workplace and in my private space.
Message number 1. To play the last message again, press 1. The message was deleted. Message number 2.
Hi, this is Brian Su. Phone
Brian
number
Su's going to federal prison.
1 3-503-916-8. Thank you.
The message was deleted.
He's going to federal prison. He's engaged in surveillance while he is living also at a crime scene and doing so with real-time knowledge of what it is that I'm doing on a communication device. Okay, this is audible activity creation while the entity is calling on the phone. And this is, again, the psychotic engagement in an ongoing criminal pattern of conduct, which under no circumstances is going to convert to being, oh, this is outside of the P.O.C. And that's what these dilute. This is the psychopath. Okay, you are caught in the P.O.C. There's no getting out of it. You're not doing anything but monitoring and group stalking on an ongoing basis. Okay, so repeating that is not a contradiction of the P.O.C. that you're engaged in. It's not speaking to, oh no, well, not this time. I'm actually just calling, not because I'm monitoring, but because I have it. It's the elements of monitoring by the state on a ceaseless basis. And while the entity engages in that ongoing impunity, that is, again, relevant for what are the mental examinations, which every third party group stalker that's going to face prosecution shall be subject to. It is, again, March 22nd, 2022, and this is P.O.C.